However long your con game is, the long arm of the law will strike. In Hushpuppi's case, sooner than he ever imagined. One moment, Hush was going through the documents. Online information forwarded his way by the agency he'd consulted regarding obtaining the highly valued $250,000 St. Kitts Nevis passport, balling and living life on his terms while flaunting his riches on Instagram and having an apparent net worth of $500 million. He was in trouble with the law and in FBI custody in a few short months. But how did the FBI nab him and his co-conspirators? Well, it all goes back to his flashy lifestyle and flexing on Instagram. By going above and beyond to flash his every big purchase and being engulfed in high-end consumerism of designers and other high-end brands and products that are often within reach of the super rich, say that Richard Mille watch, people started to take note. Everything he did screamed, "I want you to notice me." So all the lavish parks, the expensive and genuine high-end pieces and not knockoffs, the elaborate birthday celebrations, custom shoes, and the custom Rolls-Royce nameplate, all these not only made him the most popular Instagrammer in Nigeria and internationally, but also drew the attention to the authorities. The FBI knew that the good life Hush was living was not maintaining itself, mainly because Hush didn't seem to work a day in his life, although he was considered an influencer, and he didn't come up with a life-changing app that would change people's lives forever. Heck, he didn't have Elon Musk or Warren Buffett kinds of money, but he was affording things you'd only see with such guys. So how did Hush get all that fuck you money? Well, it turns out that he had been on the FBI's radar for much longer than he thought, even before Hushpuppi and his accomplices defrauded a Qatari businessman. In an affidavit by the FBI, social media played a significant role in not just the arrest of Hush, but also that of his accomplices, not to mention an inside view of his life. Through the affidavit, the FBI discovered Hush and his social media handles through his co-conspirators, a non-Nigerian manager of the organization's mules who had saved Hush's UAE number as Hush. This number was also tied to a Snapchat username, Hushpuppi5. The FBI then reviewed his Instagram account, identifying the use of the same Snapchat account name and consistency in style where he posed as a real estate developer. They then matched Hush's identification documents and his passports. But the account is really what gave him away by giving them real insights into the target's flashy lifestyle and the substantial wealth he kept showing off. They subpoenaed records from Snap Inc., Apple, and Instagram to ensure they had an airtight case. These records allowed the FBI to make concrete connections between his phone records, chat histories, and email addresses. These shed more light on his shady dealings, confirming his correspondences and his Dubai residence. The FBI noted that Abbas, Hush, was a crucial player in the defrauding cases and the larger conspiracy in which it was purported that he provided a safe haven for the stolen money from all around the world. As the kingpin in a transnational cybercrime network that specializes in business email compromise or BEC scams, which is considered one of the fastest growing versions of cyber fraud involving the hacking of corporate emails and also sending fake messages to the targeted clients in a bid to redirect their financial transfers and steal their bank account details. What is a BEC scam? Generally, the BEC scam starts when someone hacks into a company's corporate email account through engineering tactics such as phishing. But these perpetrators do not do anything at first. They sit and wait, oftentimes watching for weeks or even months, during which they track the account's activity before they start to quietly forward copies of the incoming and the outgoing emails to themselves. Then the waiting game goes on again, and in these weeks or months, they look for specific outgoing payments while taking time to understand their customers through their communication patterns. Once they identify an invoice that is either ongoing or incoming, they use the intelligence gathered to insert themselves into the actual payments that are supposed to be due at the time. Once they're here, the scam works in two main ways. Either the scammers use a compromised email for the intended payment recipient. In this case, they only need to create an invoice identical to the actual one, and here they swap out their bank account details for theirs, and then resend the invoice to the recipient's email. Often, they will apologize for the mix-up in the accounts. But in cases where the hackers have compromised the email sender, the hackers may send in a follow-up payment invoice from a spoofed account. Such emails are made to look exactly like the payees. Other hackers have been known to go the extra mile, creating complete websites and companies online, but with just one letter different or perhaps off from the target companies. In such cases, the guy in accounting will assume that it's the same invoice they've seen and made payments to in the past, making the payment to a whole new, non-existent company and fattening the hacker's accounts. On the outside looking in, you may be wondering how anyone could fall for such scams, but the attacks are often too realistic, and no one would ever suspect that something was wrong. The attacks are just too sophisticated and don't raise any red flags. So what gave Abbas, Hush, away? Well, it all goes back to January 2019, when Hush was contacted by Al-Yamari, a renowned online money launderer from Canada. Al-Yamari went by different names in the grifter world, including Big Boss, The G, and to others, Backwood. He was also known for his mustache. Al-Yamari, then 35, was born and bred in Ontario. Throughout college, he had been helping different criminal enterprises cash out money from victims, including the $10 million scam in 2017, when he swindled one of the Canadian universities. From the FBI's investigations, Al-Yamari had saved Hush's phone number as Hush, and not only that, it showed that the two had communicated through phone and Snapchat. Hush's Snapchat account, Hushpuppi5, had all the conversations, one of which featured Al-Yamari asking Hush for 2 safe bank accounts, registered and based in Europe, that would receive upwards of $6.1 million while remaining completely untraceable. This money would hit the accounts on 12th of February, and Hush replied with the details of a Romanian-based bank account that he noted could safely handle the huge sum. The money was coming in from a bank based in Malta, Bank of Valletta plc, an investment and commercial bank that not only had branches across Europe, but had also fallen victim to the BEC scam only a few months prior to this new planned attack. Verified reports by Times of Malta, a team of hackers had hacked the French stock exchange regulator, first by spoofing, or rather they sent targeted emails to the Bank of Valletta, where one of the employees fell for it and opened the email, granting the hackers access to this bank's otherwise very secure payment system. Once they were in, the hackers, armed to the teeth, sent out a series of large payouts in separate accounts. And in the indictment case by the US government, the FBI claimed that the SEC scam hackers were North Korean government agents. This group has been operational since 2014 and had been behind the loss of at least $1.3 billion through highly sophisticated digital heists and the infamous ransomware WannaCry, which was also used to hack Sony Entertainment. While it remains unclear if Al-Yamari knew what or who he was getting into bed with, his role in the underground world seemed simple. He only needed to transfer and move the money in different accounts spread across the globe in the fastest way possible, and also to clear the money off the accounts to make sure that the trails go cold and that the money is entirely untraceable. This was also necessary because, as Al-Yamari told Hush, the money could be cancelled and reversed in case the client realized it was missing, so they needed to expedite the transfers. If the victims didn't notice the missing money, they'd keep at it. They managed to do this successfully, and after everyone had their money, Hush went back to his normal life, flexing on Instagram and showing off his fancy designer clothes. In one of the posts, he's pictured sitting on a plush, bright orange couch, wearing Louis Vuitton, and the caption goes something like this: "Mature enough to wish the best for people I no longer talk to." But this caption was not followed by his usual hashtags, hashtag Dubai Louis Vuitton, yada yada yada. He didn't speak to Al-Yamari again from the 24th of January 2019 until the 1st of February, when Al-Yamari reconfirmed that the money would hit the accounts on the 12th of February. But he also needed 4 more accounts created, each capable of holding millions in euros. Hush was cool with it and got to work, and after 6 days, the money mover Al-Yamari had 6 accounts, each of which could hold 5 million euros. Al-Yamari confirmed this along with the fact that the big hit was still going down on the 12th of February. And get this, all the accounts would be credited simultaneously. On the 9th of February, Hush posted a picture from his lavish Dubai home. Again, nothing grand, but something to remind his followers that he was balling. He wore black leather Hermes loafers, a Hublot watch, and a Fendi shirt. The caption read, "The goal in life is to be valuable. Once you're valuable, instead of chasing money, you will attract it." Plus the hashtags hashtag Fendi, hashtag Hermes, hashtag Versace, hashtag Hermes, hashtag Dubai. But that was not the end of Al-Yamari's demands. He immediately needed one more account set up, asking Hush if he needed one more account or if he'd stick to the one Hush had sent. To this, Hush replied with the details of another account, this time a Bulgarian account. On the 12th, Al-Yamari notified Hush that only the wire payment made to the Romanian account was successful, and it was deposited with 500,000 euros. This payment was masked as payment for an online betting company called Tipico in Malta. They planned to try another hit the next day, claiming they still had access to one of the accounts, but this didn't go according to plan, as their whole scam blew up in the news and their faces after the Bank of Valletta discovered the loss of $13 million in the accounts they held. The bank shut down its online systems, later noting that they'd recovered a good chunk of the stolen money. Al-Yamari expressed his disappointment, but told Hush they'd have something else running within weeks. Hush posted on Instagram on 14th of February, noting he'd purchased a $160,000 Bentley Bentayga to celebrate Valentine's Day. The chips started falling. Unfortunately, he was not very cautious in all these online dealings and communications, since he used that one Dubai phone number attached to his Gmail address, rayhushpuppi@gmail.com, which was also connected to the Instagram account @Hushpuppi and his Snapchat @Hushpuppi5. And though he had 2 additional phones, these were also connected to his primary phone through email. And what blew things open was how negligent, or perhaps ignorant, he had been in his communications with Al-Yamari. While the FBI cut close, Hush was still in the game, promising a $300 million windfall from Al-Yamari in April from the UK. In this new cyber scam, Al-Yamari's associates had hit the jackpot by uncovering a new scheme in which they would swap in the bank account details in weekly €100 million installments. This money was from one of the teams in the English Premier League they'd take advantage of the large transfers made during player transfer windows. Precedent? This was done 4 years prior, when player Lazio fell victim to a phishing scam that saw a loss of $2.46 million. On his end, Hush gave Al-Yamari a Mexico bank account that would receive the payments. But after the receiving of the account details, Al-Yamari learned that the banks in the UK had not fallen for their antics or the UK accounts. After they scammed a New York law firm and after the payout, Al-Yamari disappeared, not into the wind, but into the FBI's arms when he was approached and arrested at the airport. But that's not the only thing that happened on the other side of the world, unbeknownst to Hush. As this unraveled in Canada, something else transpired in Hush's homeland when the world woke up the following day. Mamfa, Ismail Mustafa, one of Abba's friends, was arrested in Lagos, Nigeria, for his alleged involvement in the large-scale online fraud syndicate and money laundering. When pressed, neither Mamfa nor his lawyer commented on the allegations or possible relationship with Hush. On the other hand, Hush didn't want to show that he was probably sweating through his clothes, and he posted on Instagram again, this time seemingly scared and disinterested in mentioning his friend's downfall. But then, on October 26th, he posted a photo at a Rolls-Royce dealership in Dubai, now very aware of the trouble he was in and how people would go through trials in life, and how some may not survive when their time came. Also warning that people shouldn't use other people's downfall to chase clout. After some days, Hush changed his bio on Instagram to read "Real Estate Developer," from the previous bio, "The Billionaire Gucci Master." There's no doubt that Al-Yamari had been caught pants down by the FBI, and he had to reveal his accomplices, perhaps for an enticing plea bargain, and all the evidence he needed was in their texts. With these details, and the fact that the FBI could obtain phone records, texts, emails, and social media information of Hush and his co-conspirators after Apple, Instagram, and Snap Inc. released his information, Hush was guilty. He was arrested in June 2022 and extradited to the US from Dubai, UAE, where he faced criminal charges for conspiracy to land hundreds of millions through a series of online heists that targeted an English Premier League soccer team, foreign banks, and a US law firm, among others.